One of Python's big attractions is its simple and direct syntax. It's a relatively uncluttered language. Java, however, has been the opposite for most of its lifetime. It's been highly verbose. But in recent years, we've seen a new language emerge for the JVM called Kotlin. It gives users the whole of the Java ecosystem, but by way of a language with much of Python's simplicity and directness. In this video, I'm going to put Python and Kotlin side by side using a few simple programs and show how they stack up when it comes to their syntax and common idioms. Let's start with the simplest program most people can think of, the hello world. In Python, we can just print hello world without any preamble. In Kotlin, we need one more element. We need a main function, since we cannot do things like print at the top level of a module. When it comes to printing with variable interpolations, Kotlin has a standard mechanism. A $sign can be used to insert a variable name in a string, and curly braces following the $sign can be used to give an expression. Strings support this behavior by default. Python, by contrast, has a special string type, the F string, which is specifically for variable interpolations. I should also note that print in Python can take multiple arguments of different types, but in Kotlin, println only takes a single argument. For loops and similar constructs, Kotlin has a powerful feature that Python doesn't have, the ability to break out of a loop to a designated point. Both examples here do the same thing. They have an outer loop and an inner loop, and a randomized breakpoint that exits both loops. In Kotlin, we can break to a given level in a nested loop by using a label described by the @ symbol. So when we break here, we're exiting both loops, since we're breaking to the label defined at the top level. In Python, there's no really elegant way to do this. The closest we can come to it is using the for-else construction, which lets us take some action if the loop is not broken out of. That makes exiting from multiple loops at once possible, but unfortunately also verbose. It's also worth noting that importing and using external modules in Kotlin resembles the way it works in Python, although we have to use a construction like this instead of Python's from X import Y syntax. Here's another loop example that also handles user input and does some error trapping. An infinite loop in Kotlin is much like its Python counterpart. We use while true. The idiomatic way to get a specific type from a user input is to use a method on the return string that either gives us a value or null and make a simple comparison from that. In Python, we'd catch a value error from the conversion and handle that instead. Now, Kotlin does have exceptions, and you could use toInt to raise an exception if the conversion wasn't successful, but the recommended and idiomatic way to do it here is to use toInt or null. Classes in Kotlin require a little less boilerplate for initialization than in Python. In that respect, they more closely resemble Python's data classes, at least out of the box. These two code snippets do the same thing. They allow the creation of a movie object with a name and a default year. In Kotlin, we don't need to do more than list the parameters in the constructor with defaults, although we could supply another method to do post-initialization configuration if we wanted. And as with Python, we can override default behaviors. The toString method here, for instance, will have the class print some formatted representation of itself when it's converted to a string, such as when we do it with println and a variable interpolation. A couple of other things are worth pointing out here. In Kotlin, most variable declarations have automatically inferred types, but you can use type declarations. Another thing is that Kotlin lets you declare variable mutability. The val keyword is used to indicate a name that is static once assigned. The var keyword indicates something that can be reassigned. In this example, new movie doesn't change, but new movie 2 does change. That makes working with variables in Kotlin a little more like it is in, say, Rust, where static assignments can be optimized. In Python, everything is a potentially dynamic object, so we'd only have type annotations that would be handled by a linter ahead of time, not used for runtime optimizations. So to sum up, if you're coming to Kotlin from Python, you're likely to find the language relatively comfortable. You'll still need to develop some sense of the Kotlin way to do things, for instance, using curly braces instead of whitespace, but the transition's likely to be a lot less jarring than moving to Java itself. And that's it for this episode. If you liked it, leave a comment below, and don't forget to follow Dev with Serdar and InfoWorld on Facebook, YouTube, and InfoWorld.com.